Key terms and people. Warhawks, those who were eager for war with Britain. Henry Clay, a strong Federalist leader who became a member of the House of Representatives. Andrew Jackson, the man who led American forces in Georgia against the British. Francis Scott Key, a young American soldier who witnessed the battle in Baltimore and wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Fort McHenry, a fort in Baltimore that defended the city's harbor. James Madison, the U.S. president from 1809 to 1817, who was criticized for the war. Dolly Madison, James Madison's wife, who saved important papers from the president's house in Britain. Samuel Smith, an American major general who was mainly in charge of leading the defense of Baltimore's harbor.
Declaring war against the British was a necessary decision. One reason for declaring war was that the British would not stop seizing American ships. Even after we threatened to declare war, they would not stop. Also, they violated several laws and codes that when they began to seize ships. They also supplied Native Americans with firearms to rebel. The early days of the war were not easy for the Americans. We were first almost sure that we would not lose, but later on we realized that it would not be a walk in the park. By 1814, 135 British warships had blocked all the American ports. In August of 1812, Guerilla, a British warship, was defeated by the USS Constitution. The U.S. Constitution played a huge part in the Battle of 1812. It was nicknamed Old Ironsides because of how strong the sides of the ship were. The role of the ship was to be one of the strongest ships in the world. By the end of the war, not a single cannonball penetrated the ship's 2-foot thick oak tree sides. The invasion of Canada was a checkpoint in the war. In July of 1812, General William attempted to invade Canada. They soon became surrounded by the British and Native Americans as they were retreating. At this event, they lost 2,000 troops. Then a key war was fought in 1813 at Put-in Bay. Oliver Hazard Perry was extremely determined in this war. During the war, his ship was damaged. He then went to another ship to fight and win the war.
Dolly Madison said, "I have pressed as many morning papers in my trunk as possible." When she was packing up, she could hear the sounds of the cannon shooting in the distance of the White House. That's how she knew the men were in war and they were busy fighting. The Battle of Fort McHenry was during the end of the war. When the British moved to the Baltimore on a hut for Fort McHenry, they had trouble finding it because it defended the city's harbor. The Americans had beaten off the attack by night that day. This fort connects to our nation's anthem because when the flag hung over the fort, the men were fighting. This guy named Key, sometimes during the war, had written a poem that was called the Star-Spangled Banner. Then, after the Congress made it, and our nation's anthem becomes today.
Okay, that made no.
Alright, just save it.